What's going on, traders? My name is Justin Arroyo, back with another Market Mondays here at Officially Above Average Network. I hope you guys are having an amazing weekend, had an amazing weekend. I hope you guys are ready for the new trading week ahead. We got some massive fundamentals that we will be not necessarily talking about in large, but we will be bringing it up. We have some Brexit news that will be coming out during Wednesday and Thursday, which I'm sure you will hear from myself and Harrison, as it is such a big deal. So thank you guys for coming back. You guys again, we'll see a overview of two pairs that we are going to be working with, fluctuating between about 5 personally, and you will see Harrison go over his selected pairs. We will be doing 2 each every single week, so if this is the first time you're here, please go ahead, watch the first one. Link will be in the description below. We had an amazing week last week. EURUSD moved 150, even more pips to the upside. And Harrison will talk to you about that. The GBP JPY, his analysis was doing super well. Mine with GBP USD and GBP AUD played out to perfection. We are definitely going to be setting some stuff up for you guys so that along with the videos, you guys are going to be able to have some contact with us and try to possibly get some of these opportunities when they are actually playing out instead of just a bias. So I'm going to start off with GBP USD. I'm going to go into GBP AUD. Nothing very extravagant, nothing super in-depth. I have to keep this at a lower time for you guys so that we don't waste any of your time. But I'm going to go over the same GBP AUD, but we're going to be adding AUD JPY in for myself. So I'm going to give you guys what happened last week for GBP USD, GBP AUD, and then give you an analysis for, again, GBP AUD, and now this week, AUD JPY. So last week was really good. So you can see that we rejected the 1.325 2 weeks ago. And last week, we ended up having the firm bearish engulfing that closed not just beneath one key level, but 2 key levels, 1.32 and 1.31. Now we're just above 1.3, rejecting our moving average for the week. We have opened, so this is being done on Sunday, market open, about 7:30 p.m. So Asian session is about to start. So we've had the break, the gap beneath 1.3. Probably more downside momentum for the week. This bearish engulfing doesn't really help me too much until we have a lower high that's established. I talked about last week in the videos that whenever I want a reversal pattern to form, whenever I'm looking for an actual entry, I do need one of the lower highs or higher lows and a reversal pattern that closes above or below my 8 EMA. So until I get that, we will not be looking for any trades for GBP USD just because of the Brexit news that's coming out on Wednesday, Thursday. So we're going to keep an eye on this, on these crucial areas, see if we can get a lower high. We'll probably stay away from GBP USD this week, which is why I traded GBP USD with the AUD JPY. So if we're going to go down to the lower time frame just to look, we can see that we did not have any sort of pullback upon the new week's open. 13250 was rejected, closed beneath, and followed throughout the next 4 to 5 days. So that was the overview. If you see on the monthly, we did talk about that we did want price to come not just to the moving average, but possibly to 1.3. So a good 250 point move to the downside if you were able to take last week's analysis. Going on to GBP AUD. GBP AUD did quite the same thing. So you can see after the bullish engulfing that closed above that 1.85 level, we talked about this area being the sellers that were overbought, right? But we also had some major information from the higher time frames about break and retests of this crucial area. So obviously I'm not going to go into the overview of what I did last week, but we were looking for a retest of that 18750 level before we had some downside momentum. So what this week calls for, this has a little bit of shooting star characteristics in there for me. So it does look like with the shooting star off of the high, we have broken beneath 1.850 and possibly moving to the downside. So the overview before we get into the new week's analysis was that we wanted some more downside potential before we ended up getting some more upside movement. So we were here by week's start, and then during the week we ended up having the pullback to 1.8750, the firm rejection with the double top, and the crash down. Now, if we were on the higher time frames, the daily would have not been able to provide me with an entry just because we had not broken that EMA, right? So if we were to go to the lower time frame, the opportunity originally would have came around here, and I actually took one of the trades at this area and ended up getting stopped out because we had this huge move to the upside at 1.8750. That new entry would have been the bearish engulfing that we see here with the lower high, or that double top formation, multiple pins to the high before that 150, 160 pip move to the downside. So now that we've broken a key level of support just here, I will possibly be looking for some pullbacks and the lower move, right? So the analysis for this new week ahead, we end up having that shooting star characteristic just off of 18750. And what has happened previously, back in October of 2018, we ended up having a shooting star pattern off of all of these levels before crashing down not to 1.8250, but to 1.80. So there is possibility that we could be rejecting that 1.85 value and crashing even harder. Obviously, we're going to be probably playing this very, very safe just because of the Brexit news that's coming out. The market's going to be very, very volatile. It would probably be best to stay away from pound pairs, if anything. So the week for me, that shooting star right beneath 1.850, I do believe that we can work our way at least down to my MA. But who knows with the decision that is being made. So now the reversal pattern has formed on the daily for me with that double top, the inside bar, which is really not a reversal pattern for myself, but we end up having the high sustained with that bearish engulfing beneath my MA. So that is one of my reversal patterns for me. So I'm going to be looking for some downside movement and potentially that pullback in the lower low being made around 1.825. So that is the analysis for this week for GBP AUD, and I will see you guys on AUD JPY. All right, now on to AUD JPY. So this is a new pair for me relatively, but I use all the same criteria in order to get my analysis. So looking at this, we have JPY that has been doing the, all JPY charts have this flash crash that we talked about for GBP USD just last week. The flash crash for the Japanese yen crash all the way down to just about $70.50 before wicking back up and returning back to our MAs, about $79. So as you can see, last month, some indecisive movement, still underneath my MAs, lots of bearish potential to be made here. As we step down to the week, we can see that we have lower lows and lower highs that are being established in this move. And coming up to our MAs, piercing right through it just at $79, we end up having the bearish engulfing pattern that forms twice for us. So if we were looking for the reversal pattern that I talk about quite a bit, the pullback, the lower high with a reversal candle closure beneath the MAs, that will push price in its intended direction. Now, obviously more tests the better. So if we were to come back into this region, the initial high, we can see that we end up having, or if you wanted to do the sellers, either way would make perfect sense in my eyes. That pullback, the multiple rejections of this zone was perfect for the bearish engulfing that had formed last week. So what this says to me is we end up having a double top bearish engulfing. The reversal pattern with the high holding beneath my MAs definitely tells me that we are possibly going to be making some more downside movement. Personally, I do think that we are going to reject this 78 value. As you see, it has been support for quite some time. So a pullback will probably be in order before making its way to the downside. I'm going to have 77.5 as an initial target, and if we do decide to go any further than that, I'm looking at 77 and 76 values. So heading down to the daily time frame, you can see that after the break above the MA, we ended up having these rises with higher lows and higher highs before reaching that 79.5 structure. So the sellers, they officially entered right here. So this would have been a great area to look for sellers momentum. And we had 1, 2, 3, 4 rejections before we had last week's move. So there was quite a bit of time to respond in order to catch some good amount of pips. So now with the week ended, I am looking for that pullback with higher time frame momentum in mind. We are looking for the lower high to be established and that lower move to the downside. Now, a Fibonacci could be used from the significant high down to our most recent significant low, and I like to find my reversal patterns to go somewhere in between, like I said, in between 786, 71, and 61.8. So if I can get a bullish move up to this area, I will definitely be looking for some downside momentum, and we have a great risk to reward that will be offered to us. Potentially 775 would give us about 150 pips of reward. So even with a 50 pip risk, you are looking at about a 1 to 3 risk to reward. So massive movements. Again, we are looking for the swing. We are not advising any intraday movements for buys unless you are an intraday trader. So in the swing term, we are looking for the lower movements, especially to break 78. So for a perfect setup, look for the retracement, look for that lower high, and the criteria for entry, or a firm break beneath 78 will drop us down a good 50 to 100 pips lower.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you've been enjoying the analysis so far. I thought to start my portion of episode 2, I would quickly review the results from my analysis on episode 1. And in that episode, I mentioned how I was looking for the euro to make new higher highs against the Canadian dollar. And seeing how that played out, we had a nice push up on Wednesday to our first take profit region of 1.52. However, we did not fully make it to our 1.526 upside target because the market reacted very negatively to the ECB interest rate decision on Thursday. And we ended up closing the week out just about 9 pips below from where we started. But still a profitable idea. I'm glad that I was able to share that with you guys in the first episode, and this is the kind of result that I'm hoping for as we continue doing these episodes, and I want to provide some of the best analysis that I can. So if you guys aren't following me here on TradingView, I'll be putting the link in the description of every video, and I'll try and post ideas that I don't share in these weekly analysis videos. But with that being said, let's start off this analysis with EURUSD. So starting the analysis on the weekly time frame, we can see that Euro hasn't been bullish almost at all since that big drop off from the 1.25 levels we had last year. And so from that push down, we initially saw support at the 1.16 level before that ended up being broken. And then for quite a long time now, we've just been sandwiched between the 1.13 and 1.5 levels. And it looked like for a while that 1.13 was going to possibly be the reversal point for this pair to make new highs, maybe even back to 1.2. But as you can see from that interest rate decision from last week, we've now closed with a bearish engulfing of these past 3 candles, and now have finally made a strong closure below the 1.13 level. So now I am anticipating new lower lows for EURUSD. Taking a step onto the daily time frame, we can see just how critical this 1.13 level has been, with 2 false breaks of that level back in November and then just last month in February. But we ended up just retracing back into the consolidation range both times. But now here we're on the 3rd time, we again have broken the 1.13 level. We've created 20-month lows, and so now I am anticipating price to use 1.13 as a resistance before a new leg to the downside is formed. So another 200 pip move to the downside is what I'm projecting for the near term. I am looking for a pullback to 1.13 and just seeing how price reacts to that level. We may very well continue consolidation here. We just have to wait, but I think the safest bet right now is to assume that lower lows will be created on the EURUSD. But I'd like to hear your guys' opinion. Let me know down in the comments what you're thinking after these 20-month lows. If we're just going to see a price come back into this zone, which I don't want to see happen. I'd like to see price continue to drop and trend, but we'll just have to wait and see. So that is the EURUSD analysis. Let's take a look at CAD JPY. Starting off the analysis once again on the weekly time frame for CAD JPY. We can first see a support level at the 80.7 region where price has reversed 3 times, and over the past few years we've been within this 1,000 pip range, hitting highs up to the 91 level before coming back down. And so recently, since the flash crash, we have pushed up once again from the 80.7 level until we ran into resistance at the 84.3 level, which previously held as support rather. So most recently, taking a look at this bearish engulfing candle, we've completely engulfed these past 2 candles, and now I am looking for selling opportunities. Looking at the daily perspective, we can see this uptrend that we started in January with the highest high being formed just below the 85.5 level, and now after 6 days of bearish price action, we have seen a break of the structure of this uptrend, and now I'm looking for a new leg to the downside back to the 80.7 level. And finally, taking a look at the 4-hour time frame, I am looking for price to re-enter this region here, this initial area of disturbance after we broke the trend line. And then I am looking for a sell opportunity with take profit targets at 82.5, 82, and then potentially all the way back down to 80.7 if we can make it there. So that is my analysis for CAD JPY. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will include a visual on my TradingView ideas page, so make sure you check that out. On next week's episode, Justin and I will discuss the results of the Brexit vote that is set to take place on Tuesday and Wednesday, as well as discuss the results from our analysis given in this video. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. Leave a like if you did, and we will see you again in episode 3. Take care, guys.